Really good to see everybody today. Welcome to our business building SIG. It is always such a pleasure to be with all of you. Lindsay is known for his resumes. And so if you ever have clients who need resumes, you should contact Lindsay. I have sent so many clients to him and he has done great work.
Thank
And
you.
I am known for really specializing in helping coaches build their businesses. And so that's what we're going to do today. And I'll also tell you too that for those of you, I had a few of you reach out to me about this. My Stairway to Six program is starting in 2 weeks, and that's going to be a 3-month program that's really dedicated to helping coaches learn the ins and outs of business creation and the development of a good art of enrollment conversation. So if you're interested in that, I'll just drop the link in the chat. You can get a hold of me, but it starts on March 23rd. But today I wonder, I'd love for you guys to tell me a little bit about what you would like us to focus on today when it comes to building your business. I was with a group of coaches last night, and one of the things that they were very interested in was how do you leave a breadcrumb trail for potential clients that then can lead them from the connection to curiosity to maybe the contract phase of client creation. And so we spent some time talking about that. We also talked a lot about money and money objections. But as you know, this is your group. I am here to 100% be there for all of you and to answer whatever questions you have and to use the beautiful community as well, because we all know different things. So if you want to drop some questions in the chat, that would be great. And if you just want to unmute so we can start this conversation, that works too. And I could just do lots of good silence, but I won't because that's not what we're doing today. I see a hand. Lisa, go ahead.
This is just sort of a very specific, detailed question. Does anybody have an expert they can recommend in MailChimp? That's what I use for my mail, and I've got to do some tweaks. I'm starting a pretty big campaign, and I'm just looking for someone who's a tech person who's really savvy with MailChimp so I can just hand it over. So if anybody knows anyone they want to recommend, I'd appreciate it. Thanks,
Any,
Gretchen.
yeah,
Good.
no, what a great question. It's so nice when we can share those kinds of resources too. I'm not a tech person. I think a lot of us coaches really aren't. So if you have any resources that you think would be helpful to share, please put them in the chat for all of us, whether it's MailChimp, FG funnels, whatever it is that you might be using. Okay. Thanks for asking that. That's always a good one to know. All right. So Carol put it in the chat. She has a question here about what does the initial meeting look like? So Carol, can you unmute?
Yes, and I would put my camera on. Apologies there, but I'm trying to get over SVP or yes RSV. I
I'm
look,
so sorry, and I'm so glad that you're here.
yeah,
And we will just do it this way, and it's no
yeah,
problem. So tell
yeah.
me a little bit about what you're thinking about for what you consider the initial meeting.
Um, it's the first one that you either try to get from a no information baseline or one in which someone has expressed some interest and you set up a conversation to talk to them.
Okay. Okay. So this is where, if I'm hearing you right, Carol, this is where it's a potential new client and it's probably your first conversation. Do I have that right?
Yes, that's right.
Okay. So for everyone with this, and thank you for bringing this up, Carol, there really is a good way to do this to help your potential clients follow the breadcrumb trail. One thing that we always want to make sure that we're doing as the coach is staying in our professional self. We don't expect the potential client to have the answers as far as what coaching is or those sorts of things. So we want to have some wheels on the bus. One of the things that I do before anyone is going to have a conversation with me, potential client or otherwise, is I send them some questions. So let's say that someone reaches out to book with me because they'd like to learn more about coaching. They want to see if we're a good fit. They have some questions. What I do is I send them usually 3 questions and I'll say, hey, before you get on my calendar, here's what I'd like to know about you. Tell me what you want to create in 2024. What have you already tried? And what's been hard? So it's what do you want to create? What have you tried? And what's been hard? The reason that and you can ask any question that you want. Those are pretty generic, but they're going to give you some information, so that you can be the best prepared for this call with this potential client. This does 2 things. One, it gets the potential client thinking about what do they want? Why are they reaching out to you? Why is now the time? What is it that's the most important to them? But also it shows you just rule number 1, is this a person who can follow basic instructions? Are they going to take the time to do what is necessary to actually be a client of yours? So if someone isn't willing to answer some basic questions on the onset, they're not going to show up for meetings, they're not going to be on time, and they're really not going to pay you any money. So again, you can't get on my calendar until you've answered those questions. Now, they've answered the questions. Let's say they're on your calendar, they come to the call. We get to that part. The way that you want to open this up is to say, thank you so much for answering those questions. I've read your answers, and I'm really eager to talk to you today and to learn more about whatever it is that they've written. Now, you don't have to go through each question and re-ask it during this conversation. What you're really doing is getting a good idea of who they are and if it is a good fit for you. Just because someone maybe isn't exactly the personality that you usually work with, they may be a good fit for somebody else in this community. So we're listening deeply to, what does this person want? What are they trying to create? What is their obstacle right now? So if a person comes and I'll say, hey, I read this, I'm really seeing that you have this vision to create a larger clientele for your coaching business, and you're having some hard time, a little bit of an obstacle with client creation. And you've tried a couple of things. You took a class, you went to the ICF business building SIG. Tell me more. Let's get into this a little bit. And I'm doing some deep listening, some information gathering. And then what I'm always going to do is reflect it back and make sure that I'm listening for the feeling that goes with it. So if you had more clients, what would it mean to you? Well, it would mean freedom. It would mean that I felt like a real coach. It would mean that I can leave that job that I've been wanting to leave and make coaching my full-time career. It would mean that I matter, and so we're looking for the deeper reason of the call. People come to you and they have a lot of goals, and you've all heard me say soul line and goal line, but I'm always looking for what's going on in their being. What is it that's missing? Because that's the reason that people actually invest in coaching, is for the what's missing. So you're listening for that. You're going to feed that back to them with your reflective listening. And at some point, you're going to say, so-and-so, I've asked you a lot of questions today, and I'm wondering, what kind of questions do you have for me? Typically, it's how do we work together? What do you charge? Those sorts of things. And this is where you've all heard me say from these calls too, that I like to slow it way down. And I might say something like, thank you for asking. I have a few requirements for everyone that I work with. The first requirement is that you're ready. Only you know if this is a good time right now in your life to have coaching, because if we coach, things are going to shift. Sometimes it's not a great time for people to have any shifts. I know that last year I went through like a 3-month phase where if one more thing would have shifted, might really have had a nervous breakdown. So I put it out there, like, is this a good time for things to shift? They almost always say yes. And then it's a commitment, more than just a financial commitment. It's a commitment of your time. It's a commitment of your resources. And then the last one is that we coach. I take it from this getting to know you to an actual coaching session, which I gift to them, because I want them to experience coaching with me, and I want to experience coaching with them before we have a long-term relationship, right? Because that's what coaching is. So they're going to ask those kind of questions. They're going to ask about price. And what you always want to say is, my highest recommendation is, and you tell them, my highest recommendation is my 3-month program. My highest recommendation is my 6-month program. Whatever it is for you, tuition for this program is, and here's what we're going to work on. We're going to work on your vision. You said that you wanted to create a really good coaching business. You wanted to build your confidence. So we're going to work on that. we're going to build a strategy each time we meet, and then we're going to take a look at your mindset about the stories that are there that are getting in your way. And so, Carol, that's how I know that was like a monologue of 4 minutes. Hope it wasn't too bad. That's what I do in those initial meetings, from the setup with the breadcrumb trail to the what do I say. So I'm going to pause there because that was a lot of talking on my part. Go ahead, I'm going to open this up for questions. What are you all wondering?
I just got to add, I love that you're saying, don't get on my calendar until you answer these 3 questions. Because I always send out 5 questions. And when they don't answer, but then they show up, I always know I'm not going to let them hire me.
Nope.
So
Yeah.
I
And
love
I
that.
won't
Thank
even
you.
let them get on. You're welcome. I won't even let them on the calendar if they're not going to do, like, you don't get my calendar link until you've answered those. Yeah. Shows readiness. Who else? Question?
Gretchen, and oh, just in the spirit of building your business and talking about your calendar and ways to kind of block it. And since there was a question on technology earlier with MailChimp, what calendaring or business operations tool do you recommend for someone who's starting out on their own, leaving the corporate world?
You know, there are so many good ones out there. I use Acuity for my calendar system because it actually, that one, if someone does get a hold of my calendar link, it won't let them schedule until they've answered the questions even in Acuity. That one's really easy. A lot of people like Dubsado, some people use FG funnels. So, you know, use whichever system feels the easiest to you. Calendly, there's a lot of different systems out there.
Yeah, I see a lot of people saying Calendly in the chat, and I didn't see an option to like kind of block people from getting on until they answer the questions. But
In Acuity, you can do that. So I don't know if you
yeah,
can do it in Calendly, but in Acuity, that's the way that I have it set up. So yeah, and they're probably all very similar, would be my
yeah.
guess.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. And Carol, I'm gonna put you on the spot one more time. Did I answer your question about the initial meeting?
Yes, I was going to actually ask about expanding that to something that is larger, something that may include a team of people, and each of those people being coached. It's not necessarily just one-on-one.
Okay. Say more. I want to make sure I'm understanding you correctly.
So more in line with um, what you what you cover. For instance, if you're brought in to discuss a program that is larger than one person, that it may be, as I said, a team of what, 5 to 12 people.
Oh, sure,
Mhm.
sure. So with let's can we call it team coaching?
Sure.
Okay, so let's say that an organization reaches out and they're wondering about coaching for their team. They're having some problems within the team. There's 6 of these people that we're going to do the coaching on. The way that you start there is with whoever the what do I want to call them? If the way that you want to start there is with the person who is like the team leader. It's usually the person who's reaching out. So let's say this team leader gets a hold of you and says, we're having a lot of dissension in our team, or I'm starting a new team and I'd like to bring you in on this. The questions you're going to have from the team leader first are, what's the purpose of your team? Meaning, why does this team exist? What are you noticing in your team that's working and that's not working? And what problems are you hoping that coaching will solve? You and the team leader will go back and forth first before you come up with what it's going to be with the team. A lot of times I'll create a team charter. So once I've gotten through with the team leader, I will do a series of team coaching meetings with the team where we come up with their purpose of why they all work together and they have to agree on it. And it's shocking how they really have no idea. They all have a different definition, and we get together in a room and they have some different experiences and definitions. We come up with their values. We come up with their rules of engagement. How is this team going to communicate with one another? I usually will do a DISC or personality assessment, And then I will do skill building with this team. But that very first initial meeting, you get it right with the team lead first. You're gathering the information before you go to the next step. Does that answer it for you, Carol?
Thank you very much.
Yeah, you got it. Who else? Any other questions on these before we go to the next question that's in the chat about tips for reconnecting? Questions or comments? Okay. All right. So tips for reconnecting. Jennifer, can you unmute and tell me a little bit about what you're wondering here?
Sure. So I'm in the process of reaching back to some folks that I already have a relationship. Either I've worked with them or I know of them. And so it's been a while for some of them. And so I'm in the process of just reaching out and saying hello, reconnecting, how are things? And just I feel a bit guilty because I haven't kept up the connection as I would have liked to. So just any ways to make it sound, fairly, I want to sound authentic and also all of that. Mhm.
So this is where we never want to do the bait and switch, but it's very normal
Right.
for people to get out of touch. Like that's just life. So when you think of it, I like to think of it of who's this person in front of me, not like this big group of people, but kind of the one at a time approach that if you and I had known each other, we worked together 5 years ago, but it's been like 4 and I haven't talked to you, I might send you an email and just say, Jen, how are you? It's been 4 years. I can't even believe it. Have you come out of the hole of COVID? What are you up to these days? I know that the last time we talked, I was a publicist and you were whatever you were. What's changed for you? Since we last talked, I wrote a book, I've done this. How are your kids? Whatever you know about them. Or let's say it's someone that you knew had a big dream or goal, and it's like, hey, last time we talked, you were working on whatever. How did that go? And you see if it's warm, if it's a warm response. If it is, then you say, hey, might be fun for us to get on Zoom and just have a coffee connect. On the coffee connect, you really are just connecting, but you're gonna hear something that they say, and you get to ask, could you use some help with that? I actually am a coach. And so while you're talking to me about this career transition that you're trying to do, I can't help but have my coaching hat on. And I wonder, how would a 60-minute session for you be? It's my gift, just to see what we can do if we spend 60 minutes together on this.
Mhm.
So that's a good way to do reconnecting.
Okay. Great. Well, thank you.
Yeah. What do you hear? What are you hearing in that? What fits for you?
I think for me, I want to make it genuine and authentic and like all these people. And I've already reached back to a few people and I'm already getting some great responses. So it's been very positive. And I want to do it in a way, you know what I mean? I just thought of what else can I say? And I think just to not rush it too much is what I'm taking away from this, right?
And to make it authentic,
Yes. Yes.
people do know that we're drumming up business. They're drumming up
Mhm.
business too.
Mhm.
And no one's actually so surprised about people drumming up business. So as long as you are personal in it, what doesn't work is when people send a generic email that goes out to 100 people and
Yes.
says, hey, just announcing I launched my coaching business. No one really cares. I mean, I know that sounds rude, but even when we get them, it's like, oh, that's nice. And we hit delete. Or maybe you write back one sentence depending on how close you are to them. But this, the coach approach is really a slowed down approach to figure out, the connection, because connection is really the key for us building our businesses. It creates the curiosity.
Right. Thanks.
Yeah. Anyone else have a question on that?
I do, please.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm not able to come on camera at this moment.
No problem.
But I just thank you, first of all, for your time today and all your expertise.
You're welcome.
I wanted to get more information about what you're saying before you go into the conversation regarding payment and how you deferred. So you trying to basically find out if they're coachable first. Is that right?
Yeah. So what happens is before you're going to have a client, it really is a series of touch points. It's very rare that the first time that you talk to someone that they're signing up. And usually even if they say yes, they don't end up paying. and they don't really come through. So that's just something to know too. So what you're doing is, I like to call it kind of the breadcrumb trail. That you're going to leave little bits and pieces of the breadcrumb trail. And it's like this first section, we're getting to know each other. I'm asking you some questions. We're learning about each other in a deeper way. I'm seeing if you're a good fit for coaching, if what you're telling me you need is something that coaching even can deal with. They naturally are going to ask questions. So we're not hiding our answers. So it's like, yeah, we can just answer the questions. And that's where if they say, how much is it? You get to say, we haven't coached yet, but based on everything that I've heard today, my highest recommendation is. And that way too, it's like, this is what I'm recommending, but let's coach. Let's have an actual coaching session, and then we can see if this is really the right recommendation.
Okay, so what I'm hearing you say is that's a really great idea. So you basically don't mention what the fee is, but let's see if this works first. Let's do kind of a mock coaching call, and then we'll see if this works, discuss payment after. Is that right?
I will say the fee. So if I say,
Okay.
based on everything that you've talked about, my highest recommendation for you is a 90-day program
Okay.
where we're going to work on your this, that, and the other thing. And tuition for this program is. And then when they're like, that's a lot of money, because that's what everybody says, because it is a lot of money, whether it's $1,000, $500, it's a lot of money. People don't like to give up their money. I don't want to give you my money either. So when they say that's a lot of money, you say, you know what, it is. And let's coach first. I wouldn't want you to do it unless you were 100% positive that it was going to work for you. And you won't know. Today, we weren't even coaching. We were getting to know one another.
That's brilliant.
Yeah. Yeah. What are you hearing in that?
I'm hearing that basically it's your sincerity, actually, that you don't want them to commit until you know it's a good fit for both of you. You don't want to just take their money. You
That's
want to
it.
make sure that this is going to be a mutually good situation, and you can take them where they need to go as well. I love that. I really love that. And I love that your validation to say, I would never think of this. Yes, because most people would probably just make excuses. But instead you're saying, yes, this is a lot of money.
Yeah.
And just validating that. That's really great.
And and the truth of it is that things do cost money. People will make investments if they feel like it's important. They
Mm-hmm.
don't have enough information though when they've only had that prelim call with you. They don't know what coaching is. Even if they've coached in the past, they don't know what coaching with you is like. I also don't know what coaching with them is like. Maybe I don't want to coach them, and I won't know that until we spend an hour session coaching together. So it also clears up the problem of bait and switch, or I had an idea that this is what coaching with you is like, but wow, Gretchen, you're not good at all. This isn't what I thought it was going to be, And so I want us to just get it out in the open beforehand. And then with the money part, I don't tell people like, I'm not going to tell you until we coach. People are worried about money. They're thinking about money. But what I do say is, listen, it is a big investment. Let's coach. Whether you decide it's a yes or a no for you, you don't even know what you would be agreeing to until we've coached. So yes, it's this much money, but I don't expect you and wouldn't want you to make any decision until we have both had this experience with one another.
That's great. Thank you.
You're welcome. Kevin.
Yeah, so for any of the people that are on the call that are executive coaches or dealing with managers or having problems with their staffs or so forth, a tip that I would provide that I use is, so I take a little different approach with you than you do, Heather, with regard to pricing. Is I Before I tell them the pricing is, because I said I don't have enough deep understanding of the challenges. One of the things I've done, particularly if I work with managers who are very rational minded, is and some of the challenges, I have people leaving on my staff, or people are unhappy, or I just can't make that connection, and I'm not performing. So I use a tool called the attrition calculator. You go to christiancalculator.com. You say you just say one person 100% or whatever your percentage potential of your staff is could leave is, and then you put in what their salary is, and it calculates using about 25 different variables of what it will cost you. And typically, losing a person and having to replace them is worth, it depends on the level, anywhere between $20,000 to $50,000. And what I do is I say, okay, so now that we know that, let's talk about the types of things. And then now that they know if they lose that one person or they can retain that one person, whatever it is, and maybe let's say it's an executive that's maybe $50,000 that's going to cost them to replace it. I just ask them, what would be a good return on investment for you? Would you like a 10x return on investment? Would you like a 5x, 2x, or whatever? And if they say, if I can get a 5x return on investment, that's easy. Okay. So it's $10,000 for the coaching, right? And I'll guarantee that we'll be able to do that for you. So, and I've found if they're not willing to invest 10 to save 50, then I know it's not a good client for
That's
me.
great. Yeah. And I really love the way that you're doing that as well. So just to make a distinction here, I do not give my highest recommendation when it's corporate. On that first call, there's no way to do it. I need to go back and think about it, really come up with some different plans and that sort of thing. But when it's an individual, like if one of you were to call me and we were doing this, that's the way it sounds. So there is a distinction between the two.
Thanks for the clarification, because that's really important, right? Because I thought it sounded like you just did them all up front.
No, I
No.
mean, when it's a corporate client, what I find with corporate is that they take a few conversations before you even know what's going to be happening. And sometimes if they're calling you for their team, I want to find out, am I just team coaching? Am I going to also coach individually? Like what exactly are we doing here? And so I will build usually two options in my head that it's like, if we do this, we want to run, I call it a round table. We run the round table with your team, and then I individually coach them twice a month for a year or 6 months. This is my highest recommendation, and here's why. Usually the number's very big. It's over 100 grand, for something like that. But let's say that feels like too big of an investment. I'll say, why don't we pilot it for 5 months? I always give a weird number. Pilot it for 4 months. We do it scaled down. And here's what that would be. This is a lot of times a very good intro point. So with corporate, it's a little bit different than it is with individuals.
And
Yeah.
I'll mention one other thing that I do that seems to work is I never quote a round number.
Yep,
Right?
me either.
Yeah, it's like 10,275, right?
Yep.
So, and many people have said, I really appreciated that you looked hard and fast at this. And it's 10,275 is completely different than 10,000.
Yeah. Okay. So I love that. Thank you for sharing that. This group, there's a lot of business savvy in here. So I love that we get to get these conversations going. All right. I want to make sure I'm not missing things in the chat. If I have missed your question. Okay, Nina, go ahead. I see that you had a question here. Go ahead and unmute and tell us your question.
Hi, everybody. Hi, Gretchen.
Hi.
Oh, yeah. So my question is, I recently wrote a connecting email to a former client and somebody I haven't seen or talked to in quite a while, and he hasn't written back. And I'm a little concerned because he normally does. So what's your suggestion for reconnecting?
Okay, so you're concerned about what?
He used to have some health issues, and so I'm concerned about that. And he lives in another country, and
Mm.
so and our lives are different. And I usually hear from him every couple of years, and so I wrote him a connection message within the last month, and I haven't heard anything back, and it's peculiar.
I would just reach out again then and say, hey, thinking about you, are you okay?
Okay.
That's okay. That's just honest.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. There's no hard or fast rule to how many times you reach out to a person or what works best and what doesn't. You reach out when it really feels authentic. If you're worried, reach out.
Okay.
Yeah.
Great. Thank you.
Any other questions before we move to Edward? All right, Edward, you can unmute, or you are unmuted. Go ahead,
I'm
Ed.
unmuted. It's a big topic. I'm
All right, let's do it.
everything I hear about developing your business. Create a program, create a program, create a program. And it sounds like a very informative approach. Here's the advice I have to give you. But it's so in contrast to what I've heard about being a masterful coach, about being exploratory versus informative. So I'm struggling with messaging, in creating proposals and all that stuff, that we're going to have an exploratory approach, and I don't have a specific program they're going to go through, but these are the results you're going to get. I mean, is that a typical question that other coaches are going through, and what are
Great.
other people
No,
dealing
let's talk about this. So when I use the word program, really all it is a certain amount of time. That if I'm working with someone, it's like it's a 6-month program, and in this is what we're going to do. The exploratory part is I've already heard what they want to work on. So it's like, here's what you told me. This is what your vision is. So in the 6 months, we're going to work on your vision. And in that, we'll create a strategy, and we're going to work on your mindset, because those are all of the things that you do in every single coaching session anyway. But the reason that I pick a certain amount of time is that for me, and every coach can do it however they do it, I don't do one and done coaching. I want people to commit for a certain amount of time, because there are always more layers and a deeper place that we can go. Anything less than 3 months is just a no for me. And usually now it's like anything less than 6 months. But you don't even have to use the word program. You can say, my highest recommendation is that we work together for 6 months. My highest recommendation is 3 months, if you don't want to use the word program. The reason I use the word program is, and the reason I use the word tuition is, it helps people think of school, which is an investment that most people's brains are already used to paying for. And so it's just kind of psychological. But you do not have to have, and there would be no way of having like week 1, we do this, week 2, we have that. That's not coaching. That's something else. So that's more of a teaching component. Now, a lot of coaches do have programs like that. My Stairway to Six program is that, but I'm not pretending that I'm coaching in that. That one, you will learn this, you're going to have this outcome. This is what you can expect. It's something that's different. So there's 2 ways that you can do it. You can have pre-prescribed programs that actually have content that you're creating. That's less coaching and more telling, consulting, teaching. And then you can have programs that are just a certain length of time where you're coaching people based around the outcomes that they want to have.
Great. So the 2 things I'm taking away from the messaging you just had is the distinction between programs of time versus content. But if you are going to offer content, be clear in your messaging about this is coaching and this is not coaching.
Yeah,
That's what I'm taking away.
that's exactly it. Yeah, it really just
Thank you very
depends on
much.
what the teaching is. You're welcome.
I'm good.
Okay.
Yeah,
All right.
Edward, I'd love to pile on that if I could, Gretchen,
Yeah.
because I share the same, sense of non-directedness, the control freak that I am. The program becomes the goals and objectives of the engagement. So to Gretchen's point, I go in there with a 6-month coaching, executive coaching package, but the program revolves around either A, what's been identified in the 360 feedback, B, what they want to accomplish personally or anything that's come out of assessments, and then continually coming back to that objective, if you will, because otherwise I've got caught in following clients too far. And then at the end of the engagement, they're not really sure what they got out of this. It's let's keep bringing it back to the value that they wanted. Where did they move from and to, and what was that worth? That becomes a great referral source for me.
Yeah. That's it. And remember, at the beginning of each coaching session, you're always going to create your agreement. It's what would you like to be coached on today? In this amount of time that we have together, in this 45 minutes, how will you know that you achieved what you wanted today? How will you measure it? So we're always looking for the topic, outcome, and measurement. So even in a 6-month container, we're gonna have our objectives and set them each in every session.
Thank you, Gretchen. Thank you, Ted. I appreciate it.
Okay. Shan, go ahead and unmute.
Hi. Is it okay to ask? Because I don't want to take
Good.
away from anyone else.
Go for it.
Okay, so in terms of, I do public speaking, And I love to do public speaking on coaching topics as a way to also motivate people, but also, potentially get business. And my goal is to do a TED Talk. I've done a lot of public speaking, but I was recently asked by someone to do public speaking, and I don't know if this is an area that you're familiar with in terms of coaching, but as part of it, I'm going to be asked to like pay a registration fee to participate as well. And I just wanted to know if you've heard of that before.
Okay,
A
so
nonprofit, basically.
so you're doing pay to play, you're paying to be able to speak.
Exactly, pay to play, yes. Okay.
Yeah, that's just what it is. And some things it is pay to play. Make sure though you want to ask them, do you get access to their email list? It's probably no, but can you write a message for them to include in their email list? Do you have a giveaway of some sort, a PDF, a one sheet, something like that, that they can email out to everyone? Can they put your bio and your website on their email communication or on their own website where people are going to be paying to speak? Are you allowed to gift everyone in the audience a 30-minute session with you, and they can have a QR code to get to know you after? So when it's pay to play, you want to find out like what are the benefits that you get. Often I will, instead of being paid as a speaker, have them buy my books to give out to the audience, so it just really depends. But when you're paying, you want to know what you're getting. Are they going to video you? Do you get B-roll? Is there a photographer that's taking pictures of you? So you have some things that you can ask for.
Yeah, so I will be getting the video. I will be getting photography. I'll have access to a booth to be able to put, as well as like a VIP meet and greet.
So, I mean, so you're getting quite a bit. There's probably also something there where you get to list your bio. I would ask about the QR code and being able to do some kind of a giveaway to the attendees, that as you are giving this talk, that at the end you get to say, and so for anyone who this talk really touched you and you want to take it deeper and further, as a gift to you from the organizers, everyone here gets 30 minutes with me. Now, the only thing is that you have to, take a picture of this QR code, and you need to book it within the next 10 days just so that you can get on the calendar. And I only want you to use it if it feels important, but you already know who you are. So if you're stirred right now, take that picture. So
Okay.
that's the way that I do it when I speak.
Okay, great. Thank you. That's very helpful.
Good. All right, coaches. New topic. What else are we thinking about today? Why don't you unmute and just ask some questions?
I'll throw it out here. This is not a very prepared thought. I've gotten lucky the last year or two working through organizations, through HR departments, larger organizations. And next thing you know, 5 people, 7 people, 9 people, they want coached. So I've gotten lazy about my business development. Previously had been focusing on solopreneurs, small business owners. What are your thoughts about strategies reaching out to more senior people in larger organizations who don't traffic LinkedIn as much? They're kind of in their walls, reaching those communities and initiating conversations when they're too busy to even get out of the fire zone, even though they will pay and know that they need and want coaching.
I try to go through HR, because HR already knows the problems of the company and they know who's drowning, and they often will have the initiative and the support. They want to give that to these people that you're talking about. So think about all of the HR people that you know and reach out to them. It's a really good way into the people that you're looking for. And congratulations, because from the last time I talked to you to this time I talked to you, that's something new that you're doing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Glad to get lucky. Thank you.
Yeah, no, it's not luck. That's skill. Who else? What else are you wondering about today? What would help you? What question do you have that would really help if you had an answer to for building your own business?
Gretchen, hi, it's Patty. How? um, in the past, if I remember correctly, and tell me if I'm remembering this incorrectly, you talked about the definition of your packages and how you create the message of the value of your package. And you referred to as having unlimited coaching during this time period, if I remember correctly. And then you said with that, you get, face-to-face 2 times a month and things like that. And I'm wondering how you define that unlimited, what are the parameters of that unlimited offering?
Yeah. Okay. So that offering is really for coaches who are working with me at a certain level. So it's not even just for coaches, executives. It's for people who are working with me at a certain level. It's usually a client who's coaching with me for 6 months or a year. And they're doing some other things too. They want to do a VIP day with me. Maybe they have another program that they want with me in addition to the coaching. But what I say is that, hey, I'm really in your world. And so, yes, we have these 2 sessions a month, but I want you to think of me that if you have a question or something that you're ruminating on, you don't have to wait until our next session. You can feel free to reach out. You can email me, you can text me, you can say, can I get a coaching session? Can we talk for 15 minutes? And so there's really no parameters on it because people don't use it that often. It's never been abused in all of the years that I've done this. When people do need something in between, it's not a big deal to give it to them, but it makes them feel taken care of throughout that, oh, I want to run that by my coach. They can, and it's not a huge issue. Did I answer it for you correctly? Is that what you were asking?
Yeah, that's what I was wanting to understand because that term unlimited is very powerful. So, I get that you're connecting with them and you're making it so that you're there. I was just curious to know, what that looked like from your perspective.
Yeah, and that's what it looks like. Now, this doesn't mean that I'm going to talk to you on the weekend, and it doesn't mean I'm talking to you at 7 o'clock at night. Like, I'm a professional, they're a professional. And this also isn't therapy where you have some 911 situation that I must handle. Now, sometimes my clients have big business situations that they need handled. That's fine. That's what part of my job is, and that's why I'm there. But that's also why I charge what I charge. When I wasn't charging a higher fee, I didn't do unlimited. But either way, I will just let you know, it's never been abused. I've never had anyone who's even used it, more than once a month.
Okay.
Yeah.
And what does a VIP day look like?
Oh, VIP days are so fun. So VIP days, I just made up the term because I think everybody likes that sort of elevated sound, but people call them all sorts of things. For me, I call it VIP days. Your client, you're going to have all sorts of different clients. And I tend to attract the A-type clients who they're fast, they have a lot that they're thinking about, and they want to create. I get together and I will do what I call my VIP intensives. And for 2 days, maybe we go somewhere. A lot of times we'll go to some kind of a fun location. And I find out, what would be fun for them. Is it mountains? Is it ocean? Is it desert? And I create some kind of an experience for them. So day one, we're coaching usually from about 9 a.m. till 4. And this is where I'm doing all things mindset. And it really depends on what their goals are. What is it that they're wanting to create? Day two, I want to make sure that whatever they want to build, packages, programs, business, whatever it might be, that we are doing the building on day two once we have cleaned up on day one, all of the mindset stuff. And that's where we create the ongoing strategy as well. And usually this is part of, their work with me throughout a year. So we still have several sessions left in our container for the ongoing coaching. But sometimes people just want a standalone experience of this VIP experience where we get together and then I say, okay, and with that, you get 2 coaching sessions on the back end just so that we can make sure that you can implement. Most of the time they become a 6-month client or a year-long client after the VIP day if they're not already my client because they see how much they want to create. I'll just give you an example. I had one client, she came to me, we'd worked together for a year and no, we worked together for a year. At the 6-month mark, we did her VIP experience. She lived in New York. She flew out. We got some space in Santa Monica. And for her, she really wanted to build her business. She had some money mindset stuff that was going on that I do a whole money program with people if they need it, about their money stories, where they're getting bound up. We coach really intensely around it. So we did that day one. What she had said to me is that she wanted to feel like she could finally swing on the flying trapeze. Well, being the coach that I am in Santa Monica, you can swing on the flying trapeze. So we did all of that coaching, and then we went and we did swinging on the flying trapeze. And that's what her VIP experience looked like. Another one, she needed something different. She ended up with like a sound bath and these other things that really served her. Another one, it was like this intense hike. So I really curate these experiences to make them feel so special to the person that they're like, I love that. And sometimes it's just plain 1 day VIP and we do it through Zoom. Those aren't my favorite, but people like them. So these are just get really creative and have fun with it.
Thank you.
Yeah. Anyone have any follow-up questions on that?
Do you share your pricing with us on the VIP days, or is that something you keep fairly proprietary?
I don't care. I think coaches should talk about money. I mean, none of it's a secret. So if they are a part of my mentor program and I'm working with them for a year, it's just something that comes in it. That's a 50 grand program to work with me, but you get that VIP experience that's 2 days and 2 nights and all of that included. You get whatever other programs I'm running. If you're a coach and you do this, you get the Stairway to Six, you get my round table, you get this other program that I do, and you get the coaching all year long with the sessions and the in-between. If you're just buying this as a standalone, it depends on what kind of an experience it's going to be. Is it 1 day? Is it 2? And where do you want to go? And are we doing sessions following it or not? So it's anywhere from 10 to 20 grand for that experience. You have another question with that?
Thanks.
Or yeah, okay.
No, that was perfect. Thank you.
Good deal.
I did put another question in the chat, but I'll wait my turn.
I think it is your turn. Go ahead. Your question was up
Okay.
next.
Awesome. So I did just join ICFLA last month and had the opportunity to attend a coaching cafe that was right after I think it was your Skirball event. And there was a lot of buzz and excitement about how great it was. And I felt very sad because it's not a recorded event. And there was one topic in particular that the folks there mentioned around the value proposition, the value statement, the whatever it is in your marketing copy, maybe.
Yes.
Can you speak a little bit about that? And how
I can. And the other thing I'm going to do you have my email anywhere? Do you have it? Okay, so I'm going to give you my email.
I don't think so.
Okay, it's coming in the chat. Email me that you would like to hear more about that content from Skirball, and let's have a conversation about it. I have some recordings that go over it that weren't a part of the Skirball, but I can send those to you. I just don't want to forget on this call. And so what she's
Perfect.
talking
Thank
about,
you.
you're welcome. And what she's talking about is the art of enrollment and how do you answer the question, so what do you do? In a way that doesn't make people bored, ignore you, need to go to the bathroom, whatever it might be. And so at the Skirball, one of the things that we did, because I was a publicist before I was a coach, is I really talked a lot about how do you formulate the answers to that question in a way that's engaging? And I kind of gave all the participants a formula to use, and we don't have time for it because we only have 4 more minutes before I turn it over to Lindsay. But for anyone who wants that, and I see some of you, I'd like that, I'm interested too, just email me. And then first I'm going to set up some time just to talk with you because I want to make sure I'm sending you something that's really going to be valuable. But I'm happy to send you some of the resources that I have. And it's really all about the storytelling, how you talk about past client success, and how when someone asks, what do? You don't say, I'm a coach. You instead say, so you know how a lot of people struggle with whatever it might be, and you put some of that in there. If it were coaches, it's, how a lot of coaches really struggle with business development. They love coaching. It's so much fun. But they have a hard time figuring out where to get clients, what to say to clients, and oh, by the way, I have to find clients. They don't want to talk about money. Business development scares them, and they thought it would be easier. You have it when the crowd's going like this. And so that's what we're looking for, and that's what I taught at that event. So again, email me, happy to go over it with you. Okay, any other quick questions before we turn this back over to Lindsay? Comments, takeaways?
Lila had a question.
Oh, okay.
It's in the chat.
I think I missed it. Layla, come off of mute and ask it.
Hi.
Hi, Fred.
Hello. This was kind of a connection off of what Ted was talking about. When you're talking to, chief people officers, CHROs, HR heads, it's kind of a different conversation than if you're contracting an individual for coaching. And typically they want some form of a proposal, what is included in the program, the cost, the time commitment. So I'm just curious if there's a particular template that you recommend using, and when do you introduce that document? So
Great question. So for me, the way that I've done this and have been very successful with it with companies is I'm still going to talk it through with the team lead before I send them anything. So the person who is the decision maker about the money, I find out what's your budget for this. When we're thinking about all of the different things that I could create for you, I'd love to get an idea of your budget so that I can create within your budget. Now, I do that just because I want to have an idea of what it is for me for the pitching, but I always create a package bigger than their budget anyway, just so that they can see it. And I don't email it to them. I say, let me get back to you and let's schedule some time to talk. And then we will go through it and I will tell them, okay, so here's what I'm thinking. How do these sound to you? When they're like, it's great, it's this, it's that, I'll make changes. Then when they say, can you email it over because I need whomever to look at it, finance to look at it, HR to look at it, that's when I will put it into proposal form for them. But I don't just send out proposals. I've never done that. They get lost. People don't care. They're not going to choose you. They don't choose you based on that. I wait until it's basically a yes until I put anything in writing.
And what format do you use? Is there a template you use for that, for what to be included in it?
I have one that I've created over the years of how much, it talks about what team coaching is, what I'm going to do with the individual coaching, but I have these different segments just kind of based on whatever it is that I'm pitching to them. So there's not some sort of format. I created it all in Word and, then I PDF it depending on what it is that I'm sending over.
Okay. Thank you.
2 cents, Layla. I do the same. I talk it through before we ever, they get the budget, and I end up, my proposal is an SOW. It's like 3 lines, 6 months coaching, 360 and whatever. I'm with Gretchen. Proposals just are one way. It should be just a confirmation of what you've already discussed, and then it's the smaller and shorter, the better.
That's it. And the reason for that is people get lost in the details, and all they're going to do anyway, they're not reading it, they're looking at the number. So they go to the number first and then blah, blah. They don't even know what it means. They don't understand what a team charter is. They don't get it. They don't know. And so I'm always going to walk them through it every single time. This was a great session with everybody today. Like I said, I'm going to put this link in for you because much of what we talked about today is in my Stairway to Six Accelerator program. Everything from your programs, your packages, your pricing, your enrollment conversations. What do you do? What should your own goals be? It's all here. And, I'd love to have you coaches in it. So if that's interesting to you, get a hold of me and we can talk. I don't want you to just sign up for it. I want to talk to you first to make sure that it's a really good fit.
And I want to thank all of you for joining. I know I always have fun. Gretchen does a wonderful job. That's why I come back year after year after year. So yeah, a big round of applause for Gretchen.
Thanks, everyone. And if you guys are interested, come to the Skirball in April. Edward and I are throwing a great event for all of you in person. We have someone who used to work for Disney. She's a storyteller turned coach, and she's going to come and talk about stories and AI and how to build your business. So I'm getting you guys the best of the best speakers to come. And I really hope that you'll be there. And it's fun too, because you get to meet each other in person, and coaches love to do business with one another. So come and build your business that way too.
Great, everybody.
Have a great day.
Thanks everybody.
Bye.
Bye-bye.